We are seeing Tulasi Ramayanam Balakanda Mangalacharanam Goswami Tulsidas Ji invoking the grace and blessing of Bhagwan Shri Ganesha, Saraswati Mata, Bhagwan Shiva and Parvati Mata. Bhagwan Shiva, who is representative of Adi Guru, Guru Tattva, that teacher who removes the ignorance about our true nature. To that Guru, prostrations is offered, salutations are offered. And finally, lastly, we saw prostrations and salutations to Kavishwara and Kapishwara, Rishi, Maharishi, Valmiki and Hanumanji. Hanumanji and Maharishi Valmiki, who is said to be Sita Rama Guna Grama Punyaranya Viharino. They are doing vihara, sporting in the forest of merit. And with merit, what can I purchase? What can I access? With punya, I can access the glories and greatness of Sita Rama Guna Grama. If I want to access the village of, means if I want to reside, if I want to have my mind reveling in the glories of Bhagavan, then I need some punya. And we saw this yesterday, that how do I know Bhagavan's grace is there in my life? When satsang is there, then I should have no doubt that Bhagwan's grace is there in my life. So we are also sporting in Sita Rama Guna Grama through this entire yajna. Vande Vishuddha Vijnano, those two great seers who have connected with totality, connected with total mind, and therefore has access to all knowledge, all wisdom. To these two great rishis, these two great seers, Hanumanji and Valmiki Rishi, Goswamiji offers prostrations and salutations. Now, see, yesterday I left you all with two questions to think over, correct? One question I had asked was, why so many namaskaras, so many vandanas? Why not once offer salutations to Bhagavan and start katha? Why again and again this vandana, vandana, aham, vande, vande, vande? How many of us got some time to think of it? Why Goswamiji is doing this one day again and again? Offering prostrations again and again. And then second question I asked, we were discussing that for any map, for the map of Shastra which shows all the various options that one can take up on one's spiritual journey, a guide is required, a guru is required. But what about if Guru was there without map? What would that be a problem? Would that be a limitation? Map without Guru is very dangerous. But what about Guru without map? Means Guru without scripture. So I hope we all got some time to think of it. Now we will try to answer those questions. So this Vandana that Goswamiji does again and again, offering salutations, prostrations. See, the idea behind it is what? I as an individual by myself am limited. I by myself have limited knowledge, limited vision, limited scope of thinking about things in terms of cause, effect, right and wrong, moral, immoral, ethical, unethical, etc. So many limitations I have as an individual. And even what I know also is colored by my likes and dislikes, colored by personal bias also. So whenever I am trying to accomplish any great work, accomplish any great task, as an individual with my limitations, if I am able to recognize that by myself no great task is done, means as an individual disconnected from totality, there is very little chance of me doing any great work, great accomplishment. Recognizing that, to connect to something greater than myself, to identify with something greater than myself. This namaskar, this vandana is to teach us this. That when I offer salutations to Bhagavan in whatever form it may be, what I am trying to do is connect my mind to something greater than myself. Tune my mind with something greater than myself. Disconnect from this strong sense of individuality that I have, because of which this individuality, this strong sense of individuality will prove itself to be an obstacle in me accomplishing any great work. So Vandana, Namaskara, prostration, salutations is to dilute this sense of individuality. And therefore we can go on mentally doing prostrations, by which we tune ourselves, disconnect ourselves away from this strong sense of individuality and connect to a greater sense of totality. This is the idea behind Namaskara. When we bow also, we are recognizing our limitations and recognizing also that only if I am able to take support of, take strength in, take guidance in a greater, a totality, something much bigger than myself, only with the totality's grace and blessings will I be able to successfully accomplish whatever task I have set out to achieve. So this idea we have to keep in mind behind this Namaskara, this Vandana, this prostration, salutations, which go on again and again and again. Now that is one way of understanding it. Another way, of course, is understanding the heart of Goswami Tulsidas Ji. See, Goswami Tulsidas Ji is trying to teach us in this Tulsi Ramayana. And actually, Goswami Ji himself says in Tulsi Ramayana, I am not trying to teach anyone. More mana prabodha. I am trying to enlighten my own mind, teach my own mind. So what is Goswami Ji trying to teach here? His own mind means what we should learn for our own selves. Sharanagati, surrender towards the Lord. This is being emphasized, and this entire topic of Vandana, prostrations, will go on for such a long time in the introduction to this Tulsi Ramayana, wherein Goswami Ji shows there is one side of a sadhaka's journey wherein he has to put forth great self-effort, purushartha. He has to put forth great effort on his journey, making the necessary changes so that he can achieve whatever goal it may be. Now this can be, of course, worldly goals, spiritual goals also. But as much as there should be self-effort, purushartha, in one's spiritual pursuit, towards Bhagwan, there should be Sharanagati in whatever comes as a result of my purushartha. Means whatever self-effort I put forth, what may come as a result of that I should have prasada buddhi or Sharanagati, means total acceptance without complaint. No complaints about whatever, whenever, however something comes my way in life. So to point out this Sharanagati through Namaskara is done. That Bhagwan, I am seeking your grace and blessings only. Everything that is going to come, whatever this work is going to accomplish, it is going to come by your grace. Everything that is going to come, good, bad or indifferent, is coming because of you, O Lord. Total surrender towards whatever comes our way. And this can only happen, really speaking, when I understand my place in the totality. Namaskara is always done to whom? Someone who is considered in greater dignity, greater respect, greater admiration, a greater title, a greater position. When I understand my place with respect to totality, when I understand that I by myself can do nothing without the help of, support of the cosmic, then I will not be able to do Namaskara. You see, for example, let us say I am in a hospital and I am in emergency ward, let us say, and some nurse or some doctor saves my life. So now for the rest of my life that I live, I will go on remembering that doctor who saved my life, correct or not? I would not hesitate for a minute to remember on every birthday that doctor who saved my life. At every great joyful achievement or accomplishment in my life, at every great instance in my life where there is some accomplishment, I will remember That person because of which I am able to breathe today to accomplish all these things. We remember our parents' birthdays. We remember days of great celebration in society, Independence Day, etc. Does anyone remember every day of our lives that Bhagwan gives us life? Anyone ever wakes up and says, Bhagwan, thank you for life today? The one because of whom I am able to live such a joyous, happy life. No one remembers. When do we remember? Only when some sorrow comes walking in through the doors. Then only, hey Bhagwan, you still there? You remember me? So actually when I know my place with respect to totality, when I understand what Bhagwan is doing for me, what Bhagwan is offering every day, every minute of my life, then Namaskara does not become something you have to be taught. When that nurse or doctor saves your life, does anyone have to teach you, you should remember that person, thank that person? Naturally, out of love, out of so much joy in your hearts, you will reach out to that person. No one has to teach you that. So too, Namaskara for Bhagwan is this. When I know how my Bhagwan has shaped, directed my life in so many inexplicable ways, I cannot not help but do Namaskara. You know, infinite are the possibilities for things in life to go wrong, if we think about it. Medically, let us say, look at the body, how many countless cells there are. It just takes one cell in this body to decide, I am going to change my normal modus operandi. Means I am going to change my functioning one day, at one moment. One cell. Just one cell is required. Whole body can stop functioning. And now who is taking care of each of those cells? Any one of us is taking care of those cells? Breathing, who is taking care of breathing? Who designed the magnificent instrument called as lungs and the respiratory system? Any one of us? Who did? Bhagwan. Who designed the brain and all of the nervous system and all of its functions? Because of it I can think and reflect and even question Bhagwan. Who designed? Bhagwan. When I really start thinking, one is to marvel at the glory of the one who has created, manifested such a beautiful instrument. But when I really understand my place, that where I fit here, Bhagwan is like sun, I am like firefly, and I think I am great. Oh ho ho. Can firefly stand in front of sun and think, oh, I am a great source of illumination? Can a firefly outshine the sun? So when I know my place with respect to totality, when I understand my dependence on, my interdependence on totality, then I will not help. I will helplessly, joyously also offer salutations, offer prostrations. That sort of vichar if we do, that sort of thinking if we do, we need not even question why Goswami does again and again Namaskar. That Lord who is blessing us in so many countless ways. Some ways we can recognize, in many ways we cannot recognize. As just mentioned earlier, so many countless ways things can go wrong in our lives. A body, it just takes one incident. We are driving on the highway. Every person on that highway had to have started with a good morning. Otherwise an accident could happen at any time. You imagine a man before leaving home, his wife scolds him. And then when he is driving, he gets into road rage, they say. So he slams that brake or smashes that horn, car horn. That incident Bhagwan prevented, because of which I could reach safely to my destination. But I don't know that Bhagwan is taking care of so many things around me, so that I can comfortably transact in this world. Let us say someone is having a baby. So inside that womb, who is taking care of that baby? Externally, mother can go do so many things, but baby, who is taking care of? Who knows the feelings, what emotions, what experiences that baby is going through? Who is taking care? So the moment we give thought to it, we marvel at, we revel in, and then we, really speaking, we keep our head at his feet only. Truly, if we understand how Bhagwan works in our lives, our head will be at his feet only, always. So recognizing glory of Bhagwan only, all Vandana is appropriate. In fact, it is not even sufficient. Every day of our lives we can go on doing Namaskara, salutations. And now coming to the second question, what about? Guru is there, but map is not there. Shastra, scriptures is not there. Then, so if teacher is there, Guru is there, but Shastra, scripture is not there, that Guru no doubt can teach that student, teach that disciple the part of knowledge, the part of bhakti, the part of liberation. But little problem is there. What problem? You see, the Guru will have knowledge of how to face the obstacles he has faced. But how will he advise obstacles which he has not faced before? You see, everyone can always, when we go to some advisor, in whether it be in any professional field, someone is better able to give advice based on their own experience, correct or not? Whether it be medical field, engineering field, whatever field, financial, etc. I am better able to give advice based on my experience. So let us say there is a guru, a teacher, who has gone through a process of spiritual evolution and has realized the truth. Then he is able to prescribe advice according to his own journey, his own process, his own experience. But what about if there is a student or sadhaka who is not able to tune with the means offered by the teacher according to his experience? Then where will the teacher turn to? So the beauty about it is that for the teacher, the scripture becomes a helpful tool. So for varieties of seekers, the teacher will look at that scripture and say, for this type of seeker, this type of prescription is suitable. For this type of seeker, this one is better. Otherwise, a teacher generally will give advice, give guidance based on his or her own experience. But with the help of scripture, there is a path laid. And based on the varieties of seekers, various sadhanas are presented, and the guru is best suited to prescribe which sadhana should be applied to which sadhaka. So for all round student development, for varieties of seekers, for a teacher, that scripture also is very much helpful, beneficial. Please remember, scripture without guru is like having a map and not knowing which one to take up, which journey I should, which form of transport, mode of transport I should take up. So Shastra by itself, no. Guru by itself, yes. But it is better to have Guru with scripture. That is why our Puja Gurudev in Chinmaya Mission made sure that on the basis of whatever he speaks, some scripture is there to substantiate it. Therefore, our publication division of Chinmay Mission started. Puju Gurudev ensured that whatever was studied, book is there, scripture is there to show us, to guide us. See, teacher will give the pointer. That pointer now should be utilized with the help of the map. Then one can reach one's destination goal. So Guru with Shastra, best option. Guru alone, second best option. Any other option? No. Shastra by itself, one should not independently take up sadhana on one's own. Best option, Guru plus Shastra. Second best option, Guru alone. And third option, no other option. Pray to Bhagavan. Clear, everyone? Alright. Now, continuing with our Mangalacharanam of Balakanda. Now, so Bhagavan Shri Ganesh, Saraswati Mata, Bhagavan Shiva, Parvati Mata, Guru, Valmiki Rishi and Hanumanji. Now comes the two premier actors of this Ram Katha. One Mangalacharanam offered to Sita Mata, Sita Devi, and one offering to Bhagavan Shri Rama. So now let us see the Mangalacharanam offered to Sita Mata. Okay, so Jai Shri Amma, you can repeat after me. Unmute. Udbhavasthiti samharakarini Kleshaharini Sarvashreyaskarim Sitam Natoham Rama Vallabha. Together everyone. Udbhavasthiti samharakarini Kleshaharini Sarvashreyaskarim Sitam Natoham Rama Vallabha. So now we don't see the word one day coming anymore. Now Gosamji changes up the verb. So now instead of one day, the verb is given Natoham. Aham Nataha. Nataha also means I offer salutations. But Nataha means actually full body, Sashtang Pranam. Total offering of prostration or salutation. One day literally means I offer salutations, but that means hands clap salutation. Nataha means total body salutation. Sashtang Pranam. So Aham Nataha, I offer total salutation, prostrations. To whom? Sitam. Aham Nataha, I offer salutations to Sita Mata, Sita Devi. Who is Sita Devi? So now adjectives are given for Sita Devi. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 adjectives for Sita Mata. So now let us see each one of these. So first adjective is given Udbhavasthiti samharakarini Sitam. O Sita Mata, who is the Karini, the very prompter, the very cause of Udbhava, the manifestation, Sthiti, the sustenance, and Samhara, the dissolution of this entire Jagat, this entire universe. O Sita Mata, you are the cause for, the prompter for the manifestation, sustenance, and dissolution of this universe. What? Sita Mata is such a young princess, she is cause of the universe? So we should understand Sita Mata, we are not speaking about Sita Mata who is in that bodily form. Sita Mata is symbolic of Maya Shakti. That infinite, incomprehensible power of the Lord. In a personified form is called Devi. Shakti, Sita, Parvati, Durga. The Shakti, the infinite power of the Lord personified, is called Devi, Sita. And it is that power alone because of which the entire universe is able to manifest, able to be sustained, able to be dissolved. So many of us may have some background in this in our study of Vedanta. So we know there was Brahman and Brahman alone. He was alone, single, bachelor. Then Brahman, with the help of Maya Shakti, manifested the entire world of all five elements, all beings, all jivas, all worlds, etc. And with that Maya Shakti only, it appears as Ishvara, the one who takes care, rules over the entire totality. And that same Ishvara, when all of the karma phala of all jivas is complete in a cycle, that same Ishvara dissolves the entire creation, the entire manifestation back into itself, into unmanifest. That Shakti, because of which Brahma, Paramatma, is able to do all of these functions, that Shakti is called as Maya. That Maya is now in the form of represented as Sita Devi in Tulsi Ramayana. So Devi Shakti, Sita Mata, is represented as Maya Shakti, the one because of whom the entire universe is able to manifest, be sustained and dissolve. You know, generally when we hear this word Maya, what is our thought process when we hear the word Maya? So generally we think Maya means something negative, right? Maya jal mein phas gaya. We got trapped in some Maya. Means I got tricked, duped. So is it saying that Sita Mata is a deceiver? Someone who tricks us? You see, Maya Shakti, and Goswamiji very beautifully will tell in Tulsi Ramayana, this Maya Shakti has two aspects. One is called as Vidya Maya and one is called as Avidya Maya. There is an aspect of this universe which takes us forward in our spiritual journey, and there is a manifestation, an aspect of this universe which takes us away. So Guru, Scripture, Puja, Japa, Sadhana, all things, they are part of Vidya Maya. They are part of this world. Guru is part of the world or not? Yes. Scripture is part of the world or not? Yes. All sadhana is part of the world? Yes. But they take us towards our goal. They call Vidya Maya. And Avidya Maya, that which takes us further away from our goal. Means all negative actions, negative tendencies, wicked qualities, etc. We call Avidya Maya, that which deludes us, takes us away from ourselves. So now Sita Mata is representing whom? That cosmic Maya which expresses as both Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Means it is up to us whether we use Vidya Maya or we use Avidya Maya. It's like this, you know, many of us know Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. So it is that program we use to type all of our letters, etc. Now you have an option in this world to use either a licensed copy of Microsoft Word or an unlicensed cracked copy. Let me change the example. Let us say I want to watch Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum. Our live motto, Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum. Now I have an option to watch original DVD or not, original disc or not. I can download from some website. Both options I'm going to watch the same movie. But one is going to guarantee that I don't get in any trouble, and other option is going to create a possibility for trouble in my life. Correct or not? Same movie I am going to watch, same world I am experiencing, but I can either go forward through using that world and all of its experiences, or I can go away, taken away from my spiritual goal, my evolution. So Maya Shakti by itself is not negative. We get lost in certain aspects which take us away from our spiritual goal, our evolution. Otherwise, Maya Shakti is not evil. That is why the next adjective comes. Just in case we have a doubt that whether this Maya is something which deceives us. He said, no. Goswami says, Klesha Harinim. Sita Mata, who represents this Maya Shakti, Devi personified, she is Klesha Harinim. The one who removes, eliminates all of our klesha. Klesha means what? Klesha literally means afflictions. That which brings pain into our lives. In our Shastra, in our scriptures, there are some 5 kleshas. Pancha klesha it is called. Pancha kleshas. Those of us who want to note, you can note them down. First of the Pancha klesha is avidya, ignorance. Means in our lives, due to ignorance, I get myself in trouble. Not knowing brings affliction, sorrow in my life. Avidya. Second of the Pancha kleshas, second form or cause for affliction is asmita. Asmita, many times people name their daughters Asmita, not knowing what is the meaning of this word Asmita. Asmita means what? Cause for affliction. Some may say, yes, even if I didn't name my child Asmita, he or she would have been cause for affliction. Asmita means what? Asmi iti bhavaha. I am means always identifying, owning up, attaching to things. Asmi means I am that. So I am this body, I am a man, I am a woman, I am like this, I am like that. Asmita leads to sorrow. So asmita, which understand I-ness and mine-ness. I am so and so, this is mine. This belongs to me, this doesn't belong to you. So strong sense of individuality where I own up everything as mine. The asmita, this is cause for affliction. Second of the Pancha kleshas. So avidya, asmita. Third comes raga. See, raga means what? See, raga comes from Sanskrit root, ranj. Ranj means to color. That which colors our mind is called raga. So what happens, when our minds get colored with some strong idea of this will make me happy, this is beneficial for me, this is for my well-being, strong like for an object, what happens? Whenever there is raga, I will be willing to do anything and everything to fulfill that desire, even crossing the boundaries of dharma. Where there is raga means where I have a strong like, which came as a result of my mind being colored by a thought that this thing will make me happy. So this raga, this strong like, which makes me attached to something, that allows me to, or makes me commit some type of papa to fulfill that desire. So that also leads to affliction only, sorrow only. And opposite of raga is what? So what will be the fourth klesha? Opposite of raga is what? Dvesha. Similarly, dvesha means strong, don't say dislike. Dvesha means strong dislike. Raga means strong like, and dvesha means strong dislike. So that too, I have a strong conviction that this thing will make me unhappy. This person is cause of my problems. If that type of thought process is there, guaranteed sorrow will come. You see, any person I love and I am attached to, that person becomes a doorway for sorrow to enter into my life. Any person I have hatred towards, that person also becomes a doorway for sorrow to come in my life. Any object that I am attached to, that object becomes a doorway for sorrow to come in my life. I love my house. I spent my entire career, my entire professional life building this house, designing this house, item by item, room by room, floor by floor. And one day I go on vacation, I come back, house is rubbed. Sorrow comes or not? Why? First of all, Asmita is there, that is my house. Then raga for each of those objects that I have specifically spent time designing and putting in place. So wherever we have any of these, this raga, dvesha, asmita, they are actually doorways for sorrow to enter. So anytime I see sorrow in my life, I should think, through which of these doorways this sorrow has entered? Is it what I have to locate, huh? Is it raga towards something? Dvesha towards something? Asmita, attachment, identification with something? Or is it due to wrong thinking, avidya? So avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha. And final panchaklesha, the final cause for affliction in our life is abhiniveshaha. Abhiniveshaha. This abhiniveshaha word, see, vish means to enter. Abhinivesha means what? To get totally consumed by something. It's called abhinivesha. Means what? I get totally consumed in anything. Means it can be infatuation about a person, infatuation about any ideology or concept or religion or viewpoint, political standpoint, whatever it may be. But something where I become totally consumed, infatuated with that thing. That also becomes a doorway for sorrow. And I need not give any example. We all know. Sometimes some idea comes in our mind and we think, this is it. This is the truth. You look at religions of this world, it is said, religions have killed more people than all the wars put together. Why? Abhiniveshaha in a certain principle, ideology, concept. Totally getting consumed, overpowered by some idea and thinking this is truth. It brings sorrow or not? So any of these five, avidya means wrong thinking, ignorance. Asmita, attachment, identification. I-ness and my-ness. Raga, strong likes. Dvesha, strong dislikes. And abhinivesha, totally being consumed by any ideology, standpoint, viewpoint, etc. Through all of these, sorrow can enter in our lives. And Sita Mata is described here as whom? Klesha Harini, the one who removes the causes of affliction in our life. Means, if I want to remove avidya, wrong thinking, whom should I worship? Sita Mata. If I want to remove asmita, strong I-ness and my-ness, whom should I worship? Sita Mata. Raga dvesha, which is overpowering me. If I want to remove, whom should I worship? Sita Mata. Abhinivesha, if I want to dilute that abhinivesha, that strong ideological consumed mind that I have, if I want to dilute that, whom should I worship? Sita Mata. So she here, Sita Mata, Sita Devi is described as Klesha Harini, the one who removes. But how will she remove? How will Sita Mata, Sita Devi do Klesha Harini? So the next adjective tells us how she will do it. Sarvashreyaskarim Sitam. Sita Mata does Klesha Haranam by offering us Sarvashreyas. What a beautiful name for Sita Mata. Sarvashreyaskari. Kari means the one who does, the one who brings, the one who bestows. Bestows what? Sarvashreyas. Of course, this word Shreyas is very well known in our Upanishads, in Kathopanishad. Shreyascha preyascha manushya metaha tausam paritya vivinakti dhiraha. In life it is said, two paths come our way. Shreyas and preyas, the part of the good, the beneficial, and the part of the pleasant. Shreyas means the part of absolute good. That is which really is going to bring my well-being. And preyas means that which appears to be good but actually is not for my good. part of the pleasant, seemingly good. So here Sita Mata is described as Sarva Shreyas Karim, the one who bestows, brings into our lives Sarva Shreyas. Shreyas meaning that which brings my absolute good. Now by adding the word Sarva Shreyas means the highest good. Now what brings us the highest benefit in our lives? So at different points in our life we say, education brings prosperity and well-being. At another point in my life I say, no. Happy, healthy family is Sarva Shreyas Karim. Having a nice, happy, healthy family is ultimate good. Then when I get older, that my body doesn't give me too much pain, that is Sarva Shreyas. That means all these limbs of my body not go on giving me pain. But what is ultimate good? Sarva Shreyas? That which brings my ultimate absolute good? So there is only one thing which truly brings our ultimate absolute good. And that is knowledge. Atma Jnanam. That knowledge which releases me from cycle of birth and death. You see, any other form of prosperity in our lives takes care of us in this life. Or, if we are lucky, the next life. I take care of some financial situation in my life. I am secure for 50 years. So this life I am taken care of. Or a person who has a grander vision, he does some Vedic karma. So he takes care of himself in next life. Say, I am going to do Agnishtoma Yaga, I want to go to Swarga. So he takes care of his next destination. He books his hotel in Swarga Loka. Some of us don't even book that hotel also. So Shreyas can be this life, prosperity, progress, evolution. Shreyas can also be for next life, punya, gaining merit to achieve higher world, higher body, subtler forms of happiness. But what is absolute good? Absolute prosperity? That alone is the means by which I can release myself from the entire cycle of karma, punarjanma. That cycle because of which I am born again and again. And not only that, I have to die again and again also. One body to another body to another body. And you see, generally we don't think about this. Why? I don't remember anything of past life. We are nothing but a composite of experiences of so many lives. All of our tendencies, vasanas, likes, dislikes are what? A composite, a collective of all the experiences of our previous lives. What we call as our personality, what is called in scientific field as subconscious mind, is what? Nothing but a collective of all of our impressions, tendencies, activities, desires, whatever we have done in all lives have shaped whatever we are today. And today we are shaping, adding more fuel to the fire. In this life I am adding more to that package. And then I take birth again and I add more again. You see, many times people think, I am doing good actions. I am not doing any bad actions. I will be prosperous. I will be spiritually evolved. But you see, the law of karma works not in the way we want it to work. Hey man, I am a good person. I do good things. If we think about it, do we understand when we say I do good things, what actually we are doing? See, I do bad things, I get bad results. I do good things, what will I get? Good results, yes? Now, when I do good things, I have to get good results. That means I have to take another birth to reap the results of that good action. Think carefully here. I do bad action, I have to get bad results. I do good action, I have to get good result. When am I going to get that good result? To reap that good result, I have to take another janma. So means what? I live my life, I want to be a good person, I don't want to be a bad person. So I try to avoid doing bad actions, even though we can't totally avoid. And I try to encourage in my personality to do good actions. But both types of actions are going to have to reap results. And therefore I will have to take another birth. And now another birth I am born, again same thing. Pendulum swing only, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Whole life stuck in that, life after life after life. So Sarva Shreyas Kari means what? That which will free me from this cycle of good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And that is Vedanta Atma Jnanam only. That knowledge which releases me from the cycle of birth and death. So it is that Maya Shakti Sita Mata only who brings Guru in our lives, who brings scripture into our lives. And it is that scripture with the guidance of Guru who releases us from this cycle of transmigration. And in this way, Klesha Harini, all causes of affliction are removed. Klesha Harinim Sarva Shreyas Karim Sitam Aham Nataha. I totally offer prostrations, salutations, Sashtang Pranam to Sita Mata, the one who is the very cause of Udbhava Sthiti Samhara Karini, the very cause of the manifestation, sustenance and dissolution of this universe. To Sita Mata I offer salutations, prostrations. Now, like in our Vedantic teachings of the Upanishads, this Maya Shakti cannot operate on its own. See, Maya by itself cannot do anything. Why is that? See, Maya is like magic. In fact, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji writes one definition of Maya. Aghatita ghatana patiyasi Maya. Maya is that which allows the impossible to be possible. It's called Maya. Aghatita ghatana, what is not possible, to make it possible is called Maya. So Maya means, in general terms, magic also. Now, magic requires someone to wield it in order to perform a magic show, correct or not? For magic to be displayed, I need someone who will wield that magic. A magician. So who is the universal magician? Magic is Maya, Sita Mata symbolized here as Sita Mata. But who is the magician? So to point out that just as for every magic, magician is needed, so too for Maya, who is needed? Natoham Rama Vallabham. Rama Vallabham, she is the dearest of, the love of, the consort of Bhagavan Sri Rama. Means Bhagavan Sri Rama representing a Paramatma, the wielder, the magician who wields the Maya Shakti. Not independently. Maya by itself, the magic itself doesn't manifest the universe. Maya Shakti with the help of Ishvaraha, Paramatma, Brahma alone allows for the entire universe to manifest. So Rama Vallabham Sitam. Maya with the help of Rama, Brahma, Ishvara, Paramatma with Maya Shakti alone allows for the entire universe to come into being. To that Sita Mata, who is Rama Vallabha, the dearest of Bhagavan Sri Rama, who is Klesha Harinim Sarva Shreyas Karim, the one who removes all of our afflictions by blessing us, bestowing upon us that which brings our ultimate good, that Jagat Janani Mata, who is the cause of this universe. To that Devi, Natoham, Natoham, Natoham. I offer salutations and prostrations. So Mangalacharanam to Sita Mata is done. Then what we should do? Now we should find out who is the magician. Correct or not? We know all about the magic. What about the magician? So first we should call out that magician's name a little bit and send him a little memo that I am interested in knowing more about you. You know, like when we send on Facebook friend request. Let us send the magician a friend request. Bhagwan, I want to know a little bit about you. So how we are going to send this friend request? Let us sing Bhagwan's name. शरण में आवो, श्याम प्रभु के शरण में आवो, मन मंदिर में दीप जलावो, मन मंदिर में दीप जलावो, जीवन नैया पार लगावो, जीवन नैया पार करावो, सदा निरंतर हरि गुण गावो, सदा निरंतर हरि गुण गावो, प्रेम भक्ति से भजन सुनाओ, प्रेम भक्ति से भजन सुनाओ, प्रेम भक्ति से भजन सुनाओ. To call out to the magician's name, what do we have to do? Sada nirantar hari guna gavo. Go on, nirantara, again and again, continuously chanting the Lord's name. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Ram 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 Raja Ram, Ram 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 Raja Ram, Bolo Ram 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 Sita Ram, Bolo Ram 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 Sita Ram, Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Siya Ram. सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. Now what should we do at the end of our satsang? Remembering our specially invited guest Hanumanji. Veera Maruti Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Ati Dhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Ati Dhira Maruti, Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti, Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti, Duta Maruti Rama Duta Maruti, Duta Maruti Rama Duta Maruti, Bhakta Maruti Parama Bhakta Maruti, Bhakta Maruti Parama Bhakta Maruti, Veera Maruti Gambhira Maruti, Gambhira Maruti, Gambhira Maruti. जय सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Hari Om everyone and Sitaram. Quickly before we go, just one quick announcement Swamiji has asked me to share with everyone in Bakersfield. Of course, Labor Day is coming up September 4 to 6th, Saturday September 4 to Monday September 6th. So CMLA is hosting a Labor Day weekend meditation virtual camp. So there will be talks by Pujya Swamiji, Pujya Swami Ishwaranji, mornings 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. followed by Nam Sankirtanam and Satsang by this Brahmachari Vibho. So half an hour Nam Sankirtanam, then a specific portion of Sundarakand where Hanumanji crosses the ocean. So seeing that prasanga we will do 10:30 to 11 to 12 p.m. and then to close off our morning 12 p.m. to 12:30 our Mahadevanji will speak about Puja Gurudev's advice about meditation, etc. So this will be Saturday to Monday, September 4 to September 6th. So for those who are interested, please do visit our Chinmaya LA website. Alright, Hari Om everyone and Sitaram. Do join us again tomorrow at 7:30. Hari Om.